Mari, can you tell me more about what has been happening in Benghazi today?
Hello, Stephen. Thank you for interviewing us. So far, it is very beautiful. People are out in the street celebrating the big victory. There's no more blood shed in the country. Everything is quiet. We are controlled. Benghazi is free. There is no presence of the militias that Gaddafi brought to fight us. As you know, Stephen, we started up as a peaceful demonstration, asking for our rights to freedom, our right to vote, our right to live, and we were faced with the militias, Gaddafi's militias, with the gunshots. We lost over 200 for the last couple of days, but this is now it's all over. We are free. Benghazi is a free season.
How did this end, Mari? Because the last we heard, there was shooting this morning. So we're talking about 10 hours ago, 10, 11 hours ago. And then what happened? Can you describe the events that led to what you call free Benghazi?
Yes, Stephen, the shooting was going on for the last 4 days, since the first day of our peaceful demonstration. They never stopped, but with the consistency and with the determination to get our freedom, today what happened, as it happened last night, we are demonstration outside what is called Gaddafi's base, and they were shooting at us from everywhere, every day and every night, consistent shooting. And we got a news that is part of the army are trying to help us in order to get our freedom. But I really don't know if this is what happened or not. But all that happened, we were there, they were shooting at us, we were fighting them with all homemade bombs, and all of a sudden the whole system was collapsed. It was like, I just believe Gaddafi's system was like a spider's net. The whole system is just broke. There is none of the Gaddafi's militias are around. You know, every single one has a threat. The city. Now we have control from Benghazi, from the north to the south.
Now, Mari, can you tell me why you think you have control? And by that, I'm asking whether the troops with... Are you still there?
Could you please repeat your question again, Stephen?
Yes, of course. Why did this unrest in Benghazi come to an end? In other words, the confrontation in Benghazi come to an end? Is it because the troops pulled out voluntarily, or have they defected? And how come you're in control of the streets?
Stephen, they had no choice. They had been surrounded by us for the last 3 days. You know, even though we did not have weapons to fight them, they were shooting at us, but with our determination to free Benghazi, they had no choice. They had to flee because we were fighting for our freedom. But these are were militias. They weren't even Libyans. They've been paid money to fight us. So they had no choice. They just had to flee because we were there 24 hours, day and night. Consistently, we have lost over 200. But this is the price of freedom.
All right, Mari, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on Al Jazeera Tonight from London. Another development from Libya. The country's ambassador to China has just resigned while speaking live on air to Al Jazeera Arabic. The unrest in Libya has put many European countries in a difficult position, or perhaps we should say awkward, because they do billions of dollars worth of business with Gaddafi's regime. The majority of Libya's oil goes to Europe, and that's made many European countries slow to criticise the regime. Harry Smith explains.
Ever since Colonel Gaddafi was brought out of the diplomatic wilderness, Libya has become an increasingly important partner for Europe. On his first ever visit to Brussels in 2004, He was given the sort of ceremonial welcome which would have been unthinkable a few years before. Many of the European Union's 27 members are now big investors in Libya. You don't have to look far to see why Libya is an important trading partner for the European Union. It provides nearly 10% of its oil. It's now the third largest supplier behind Norway and Russia, and its importance is growing. Only recently it overtook Saudi Arabia for that third spot. And if Libya is important to Europe, then Europe is crucial to Libya. Italy buys 32% of Libya's oil output. Germany takes 14%, France 10%. The rest of Europe, 23%. That means Europe takes a total of 79% of Libya's oil, by far its biggest customer. It was the decision of the United Nations to lift sanctions against Gaddafi's government that started the European rush. The former colonial power Italy was among the first to normalise relations. Others soon followed, attracted by the prospect of oil from a supplier close to Europe. Libya has the largest reserves of oil in Africa, and its deposits are relatively cheap to exploit. The release by Britain of the Lockerbie bomber was a sign of the UK's willingness to foster good relations with Gaddafi, even though it risked damaging ties with the United States. But even Britain is now condemning Libyan actions.
We condemn the use of heavy weaponry against protesters. We're shocked by the reports of the number of deaths, 35 apparently at one hospital overnight. And we've had to say very clearly, just because the news media doesn't have full access to Libya, the eyes of the world are still upon the Libyan government and how it is responding to protest.
And as the crisis deepens, Europe is coming under increasing pressure to act. Harry Smith, Al Jazeera.
The growing unrest could disrupt Libya's oil exports because of threats within the country. The head of the AlJazeera tribe in eastern Libya has told Al Jazeera Arabic he'll cut off oil exports unless authorities stop what he called the oppression of protesters. Well, for more on the oil and energy story, I'm joined by John Roberts. He's an energy security analyst at energy information supplier Platts. John, this latest line from a tribal leader, is that significant?
It is significant for Libya. It's less significant for the rest of the world because in the end, there is still quite a lot of spare capacity around. The Saudis can pump more if necessary. So it's not a crucial supply issue. On the other hand, for Libya's income, that's important.
Okay, so let's go back to the big picture, Europe and Libya. I suppose the easy question is why so much oil comes from Libya to Europe. That's just geographic, is it? Proximity.
Really, yes. I mean, Libya's oil can be sold anywhere in the world, and indeed there are other markets. But Europe is the obvious local one. You've got refineries, particularly in Italy, that are geared up to take Libyan oil. It's an extremely important bilateral relationship. But in the end, remember, oil is a fungible commodity, and so long as there is at least a degree of spare capacity, which at the moment there is, then
it's not a problem.
It's not too much of a problem in the short run.
Any idea how Europe is going to react? 80% of its oil, especially Italy, relies very heavily on Libyan oil. Do the economics match the politics in a situation like this?
Yes. At this stage, why